All right, welcome everyone. This is Core Dev's call number 37 today on Thursday, February 24th. As last time, we're also going to have a formal presentation today to help us prepare for our new meeting structure, where we'll have two separate meetings hosted both on Thursday for team members in different parts of the world who may have different time zones that restrict them from joining one call or the other. So as we get ready to shift that, let's go through today's presentation. Share my screen. All right, can everyone see?
Yes.
Yes.
You're not in presentation mode if you want that.
I know. We'll go into presentation mode, but we may pop out so we can make edits, as I'm sure folks are going to have a lot of updates today. But that being said, here's our agenda. We'll go through sort of more standard updates. Each team can have an opportunity to talk about what they've been working on if they'd like. We'll go through very brief updates from myself and Dudley from the Filecoin Foundation. And I think most of this call is going to be dedicated to talking about final preparation for the V15 network upgrade. I know, Ayush, you have a couple of items you want to chat about. And I think the bulk of this call will be dedicated to discussing that V16 timeline, which we've all been kind of going back and forth on throughout the course of this week. So that being said, we have a couple of brief, I think, pretty expected reports from each of the team. Any additional updates or things to note from the Forest team?
Yeah, so on our end, I think on the shift, it should be like, I think there's a particular version, which I'll get to you guys, but I think we have an alpha version there present. But I think it's mostly what we have been talking about the reference VM and the network V15 and 16. It's almost like we are kind of skipping V15 at the moment and directly going to NV16 in the next by the next upgrade, where we'll be able to implement the FIP's OSNAP upgrade as well as the reference FVM. Hopefully no issues, and we've been in touch with Raul for all the support and help from the FVM side. But apart from that, we don't really have much updates, and looking forward to discuss on the FIPs that we talked about for NV16 and any other related issues. But that'll be all on our end.
Sounds good, thanks. And I
sorry, can I don't think I fully understood. So what is the status of V15? Like, are you guys thinking calibration net well? Or yeah. I don't know what you mean by skipping or shipping.
Yeah, so for V15, because we have the OSNAP FIPs, right? And that requires, and we are also implementing the reference FVM implementation. So the way we can do the V15 is basically port the FIPs, but that's kind of going to be, again, more work for us, because once we have the FVM in network V16, we'll just kind of implement it through that. So we are working on kind of not doing the porting stuff and directly implemented it from the FVM repository, if that makes sense.
Okay, sure, makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and for the CalibNet, I think we are still having some issues thinking for network V14, and I think once we get there, we should be able to kind of move forward. But CalibNet, I think we're still having some issues on that.
I guess I just have one thing to add, or kind of a question. So I saw the Canonical Actors repo is now public, I believe. So previously, me and other team member, we opened PRs for the V15 actors upgrades on the FVM. And I think now we're probably supposed to reopen them on the Canonical Actors repo, but that repo seems to be like directly pulled out of the FVM repo. Like it references things that are like in, like as if it was in the FVM repo still. So not totally sure what the plan is there. Like, are we planning to make it like kind of work on its own, or is it always going to be just like pulled directly?
Yeah, I can clarify that. There's currently a tracking issue with the work. I just posted it on the Zoom chat. There's a tracking issue with the work that needs to be completed so that the structure of that repo is in place and the references across repos are fixed. Also, the bundling mechanism is implemented and a bunch of other things. So one of the difficulties there is that some of the actors reference other actors by code CIDs. And because now those code CIDs are not static, they're not fixed, we need a new mechanism to be able to reference those code CIDs. So we're adding just one syscall to be able to do that. But everything is captured in that issue. So if you just monitor that issue, I'm personally taking care of this and I'm working through this. So hopefully it should be, we should be able to land most of this by today or by tomorrow latest. What will happen after that is that so the current code in that repo is actors v6. We need to make a branch, turn the current master into a v6 branch, and start and import and basically move your PRs from the refFEM repo into the Canonical Actors repo. So we can contribute the changes for v7 and create a branch there for v7 and produce two different bundles. So a bundle of actors for v6 and a bundle of actors for v7, which implementations can import to have the full WASM bytecode for both actors versions.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess we should wait until that issue is closed, and then we can reopen those.
And then reopen, exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. I'll keep an eye on it then.
Great. Any other questions, comments, etc. for the Forest team? All right. Oops. So since Maxim wasn't able to join us today, I can very quickly give you the Fuhan updates. I think the focus for their team right now is the end-to-end testing that the Fuhan miner is currently going through. But other than that, they've fully updated the Fuhan node for NV15. It fully tested it on Butterfly Net. And I think the biggest blocker to them going fully live on mainnet right now is going to be obviously the pending upgrade, as well as an audit that they're waiting on from Filecoin Foundation that Dudley's working through with them. If you have any other questions, we're going to have to push them out to Maxim, but I can also provide you his more detailed notes after the call if anyone does have questions. All right, and with that, I think it's over to the Lotus team.
Lotus team have shipped V1.14.0, which is in preparation of the upcoming Testnet upgrade. We had some hiccups cutting the release this time, so we recommend the whole community to update to tag V1.14.1 for the most concrete code, but 1.14.0 as it is works today. Just Go proxy might be a little bit confused, but that should be okay. We are planning to cut a 1.14.2 later today as well, which includes one more bug fix on a snap edge case, which is also very exciting. We also shipped the SPX program, which basically is the rebranding of the Miner X program to align with the whole Filecoin terminology. For those who doesn't know, SPX is a program that we run with a bunch of storage providers to keep testing Lotus software and other market implementation or network upgrades or indexer provider. Things like that, a community that we highly engage with. Ongoing, we're working on V1.15.0, which is going to be the feature release before the next mandatory release for the FEM upgrade. In this release, we have a lot of grass sync improvement and the P2P resource manager improvement that should help with storage provider and node operator experience. So that's very exciting. We are also working on decoupling window post worker and more retrieval improvement in Lotus, so that we can build a retrieval market over Filecoin, which is so exciting. And then we are also supporting FVM team. We already have a flag that you can turn on running FVM in Lotus. It's in a branch. It's still under testing, but it's going. And then we also have developed a private testnet for Lotus to testing FVM and Canonical Actor over the next couple of weeks. Yeah, that's it from Lotus. You do have anything more you want to add?
No. Yeah, if anyone's interested in trying to run, trying to sync mainnet using the FVM, I can give you the instructions for how to do it. We're hoping to actually land this in master so that it's a little more accessible. Right now it's on a dev branch somewhere, but you can do it, and it syncs, multiple weeks worth of mainnet state well. I think the last issue we ran into was like over a week or so ago, so things are looking good. No one should do it in production though.
Great. I think with that, then that might be a good time to throw it over to the Venus team. Stephen, any updates?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Yeah, for Velas, currently we have released the Velas version and a bunch of Velas component version for network version 15, which is alive. You could see release and a document in GitHub. And we also ask the community to upgrade their nodes right now. And we have some nodes, we know that had been upgraded, so which is online, and just wait for the the head. The old slab will be effective. This is one thing. By the way, okay, the bunch of releases actually include Velas and other components, including the Velas gateway, Velas miner, Velas wallet, and something else. And also we're doing working on the way to Velas 2.0 and to have lots of code refactoring, including to simplify the dependency and to put together of the shared component and interfaces. It's ongoing, but right now I think more than half of the work has been done. And another thing is that we are working on the dual support in Velas cluster, which is part of the Velas bucket phase 2. We hope that we will have a release next end of next week. Okay. Another important thing is that the FVM integration. We have integrated the reference FVM into the Velas. Yes, because the Velas VM has a little bit different. From Lotus, we need to change some implementation and to integrate with the VM, and it went smoothly. Currently, we have one node running with the FVM in the mainnet to sync the chain. So far so good, and we hope that to keep it running and to upgrade it to until network version 15. And also waiting for the new version of the FM, and also the also the canonical actor version. Put them together. Okay, I would think that's all for us.
Great, thanks, Stephen. Any other questions for Venus or any of the other implementation teams? Okay, and I think Maxim also just was able to join us. Maxim, we very quickly went over the updates that I have for the Fuhan team. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Not much. I wanted to mention that we have been able to pledge 2 sectors currently on the mainnet. And well, everything seems to be okay. Window post was not submitted yet, but as soon as it will be, we'll receive some mining power on the Fuhan miner.
All right, thank you, Maxim. If there are no more questions, we will jump down to updates from the Filecoin Foundation. So from my end, there are a lot of different FIP drafts that are currently in the repo. Most of them have already been pulled, or they've been pushed into the repo already, or they've been merged as drafts. If you have any questions about where to find things, do let me know and I can point you in the right direction. But I do want to note that the only accepted FIPs we have at the moment are the two that we are already all well aware of and that we're planning for the V15 upgrades. That's going to be Snap Deals and it's going to be Deep's Data Cap Management FIP as well. I think we'll touch on this a bit more when we discuss the timeline for V16, but there did seem to be some confusion around the sort of sequence of FVM FIPs that are coming through the repo now. Again, I'll also let Raul clarify if there are more specific specification dependent questions as well. But FIP 30 is more of an operational FIP that introduces the concept of the FVM and the sort of high level changes we expect to see to the network once it's implemented. But the actual technical code that goes along with that change, the atomic switch, and then sort of the gas fee rebalancing that is going to be upcoming, those are going to be in FIP 31 and 32. So when we talk about the FVM FIPs and the changes that we're expecting and planning for V16, we're talking about those as a bundle. But there's nothing particular to FIP 30 versus FIP 31 that necessarily moves them into separate upgrade spheres or anything, separate timelines, anything like this. Wanted to keep a running list otherwise of all the FIP drafts we do have so we can begin to think about them for the future. But I think there's nothing in this list right now that should be too surprising or something that you haven't seen previously. Does anyone have any questions?
What's the timeline for NV16 that you all are looking at?
Yeah, we will have a whole, I think, second half of this meeting dedicated to that. So if we could pause on it just for a second, I think Jennifer has a pretty good overview and we can walk through it as a group. Anything else? All right. Oh, go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. One thing here about the FM. The FIPs for FM, the 30, 31, and 32. As you mentioned, we consider it a bundle. This is a little bit confusing for the communities. We usually we land one FIP as independent one, and we could land this one and the next one. And I would think that it is okay to separate into three. We have one little version for all the three. But in the middle, could we say that we already achieve one FIP as an intermediate step, and we separate it into a few steps and actually to how to define this. For example, we actually implement the FIP 32 after the 31, and we may have a intermediate optional implementation for the 31. And later on the 32, so you make it clear that we achieved this one and next one. For the community, make it from a progress point of view.
So one thing that we did in the timeline, so maybe we're jumping a little bit ahead now with this, is precisely make the testnet, the shared testnet part of the testnet planning be gradual in precisely that way. So right now, if you're just running the FVM, mirroring mainnet with the FEM, you would be running FIP 30, right? So you're running mainnet with the FEM. Now, if the moment that the migration is implemented and there's that atomic switch is happening from the intrinsic, from the implementation specific VMs to the ref FEM to the actual FEM technology, then that would be FIP 31 with the actor state rewrite and the code CIDs rewrite. And then there's actually another testnet iteration for the activation of the gas changes. So like, I think, I'm not sure how else we can communicate to the community. Like what we did try to do here is kind of like logically break down, because our motivation of breaking kind of like the specifications down in this manner is that we wanted to have a versionable specification as a baseline specification for the FEM, so that future FIPs, we're already kind of like putting ourselves in the future and thinking that there's going to be changes to the FEM behavior itself and to the way that the FEM in itself operates. So like those changes will need to be patches on top of a baseline specification for the FEM. So if you think about like how laws are written, right, in the legal system, it's kind of like you have a law and then you have laws that modify those laws and so on. So it's kind of like, you know, that same approach. That's why we really wanted to have a baseline specification there and separate the actual activation of the FEM technology into a FIP and the activation of the gas model into a FIP, even though everything is going to go live atomically at once in the actual network upgrade. So the network upgrade is kind of like the top level entity that groups these three FIPs into a single event.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, I think one point here where I want to emphasize is that the FEM change is very big, and we perhaps the community want to be involved in some small steps. So we have we have a way to communicate with the communities, and we have some steps defined clearly. And even we have one big step for the network version upgrade, but okay, in the whole process to that, we have a few steps today as a community to be involved and
So sorry, can you define like what is the involvement part? Like, do you mean the community to be involved in running the code and joining the testnets? Do you mean the community being able to comment on the PRs? Like, I'm not. Yeah, what do you expect there?
Yeah, I mean all of this. Yeah, including the PR and including to be
the PR is
involved in the testnet, and also if possible we could have some optional releases to be run on mainnet. And I know that there are many many customized Filecoin implementation. So if we have one service provider to have a big step to integrate a lot of things, it may make some mistakes. So if we do this step by step, that might be better. That means that I think the whole process is okay. Just what we are doing step by step, and we clearly.
So let me see if I understand, like the gradual. So the roadmap is already gradual. The roadmap is already divided in kind of like implementation specific testing and then shared and coordinated testing. Coordinated testing is like the test nets, for example, Butterfly Net and Calibration Net are networks that any community member can join. And at the same time, all throughout these 7 weeks that we're proposing for the timeline, there should be client implementation should be making it accessible to community members who want to run the FEM as a runtime against mainnet. So that would be network version 14 these days, network version 15 starting next week, to run those mainnet versions, those network versions with the FEM. This is a matter of implementations making their versions of their clients available to the communities. Each implementation has their own community. Each implementation is specialized in something. Each implementation is targeting a different user base. Generally, like communities are formed around these implementations. So I think like we should totally make it a goal that implementation should release versions that of their clients, that whether it's storage providers, node operators, clients, anybody, users, like, you know, daredevils, anybody that wants to join this experiment, they can just join, download that version and join the mainnet with the FEM. That should be like, that should be something that happens. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't know if this is, and then I don't know if like what you're proposing is like a more focused communication on the specific events and the specific testnets that we really want to involve the community to join. Is this like what you're proposing as well?
Yeah,
to do like communication campaigns? One
question: does it make sense to include the activation and introduction in the same network version update? Pardon my ignorance here. Maybe perhaps that's what the Venus team is proposing. Maybe you know, we introduce the FVM and then, you know, get the community participation. Give some time.
The thing is
before
that,
yeah.
The thing is that introducing the FVM without the activation is what we've been calling all along the canary mode. So this is basically deploying the FVM mixed with non-FVM nodes on mainnet. Now the thing is that mainnet, the chain is being produced by non-FVM nodes. So FEM nodes would only get to validate the chain being produced by non-FEM nodes, which, like, you know, it's basically the canary mode of testing. Nobody needs to notice that FEM nodes are there. That's why no network upgrade is actually necessary, because nothing is changing in the protocol, right? It's just the execution environment for the same chain is changing privately, right? And this is basically the testing that, you know, the Lotus team has been doing for a while now. And this is the testing that we propose that, you know, all client implementations conduct in private, because there is no change to the network. There is no coordination needed for implementations to actually perform this mode of canary shadow testing. We've been calling it that way, right? Now, the thing that's actually going to make a network change, a protocol change, is the atomic activation. So that's why that should be the content of the network upgrade along with the gas changes.
I think Jennifer, do you have a question?
Not really a question, but like a proposal. So I think we synced on the test like rollup plan for like overall the network V16 across implementation already, like in the FIP as proposed in the FIP 13.1, but I also can echo what Stephen is suggesting. So I'm wondering what it would be helpful. So Lotus does plan to, you know, merge the code into the master, potentially, you know, have a tag for like SPX fellows or anyone in the Lotus community who wants to try FVM and Rust actor prior to the network V16 upgrade. Like we are planning to do that. I know like Venus can do, I suggested Venus can do the same thing like for community engagement. But like if I understand you correctly, Stephen, you want us to join the force together and make a, you know, united pick like alignment for the community to actually like joining this like effort. Will it be helpful for us to work on a implementation set of like timeline to say, hey, we will be having this tag for the Filecoin community around this time, and then we will be presenting to the community that you can run this on Butterfly, Calibration, or mainnet, any network that available to it. We will make a network announcement. We will tweet about it, and thus, you know, making the phase 0 canary like FVM phase like more obvious to the whole community and ecosystem. Would that be like good enough from your perspective, or?
Yeah. Okay. And I think that would be good. So yeah, so my point is that we have a few steps. Actually, we could communicate with other manners, or we provide the as you mentioned, the releases, and from Lotus point of view, and from Velas and Fuhang or Forest, that we have this kind of step, and we announce that okay, we achieved FIP 21 FIP 31, and you could try this try this release, or you could add this as a reference, and you could have your own code and to join this testing, amendment, or calibration, something like this, and to show that the whole team, the core team, actually we have an achievement right now, and we complete this step, and we go to go to next step, and to have the communities participate into the whole process, and we say that, and also the community could say that we are doing incremental implementation of the FM of the big thing.
I think that makes sense. Like you suggested, for Lotus, right now it's still hiding behind the dev branch because like we are lack of like testing still, like internal testing before merge it into master or dev branch. But after we add more like test coverage, I will be happy to do a tag and then announce it to the community, saying that like right now you can potentially test your node with like Lotus running FVM and Rust actor. And I will be happy to coordinate a timeline with you if you want to do this together, like, Lotus, Venus, like Forest, if we want to do this together, I'm happy to coordinate with you guys. And for that, we will just be syncing network v15 and do like, normal operations. And that sounds good to me. I'm not comfortable to cut a release because we are lack of tests in the Rust actor. So I don't want to have a production release and having the risk of like people actually running anything in production before we increase the test coverage of FVM and Rust actor overall, which is in the plan of the next, like over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's from Lotus side. And Dragon has a hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that also in the background, I kind of start working on the blog post to kind of do like call to arms for everybody that is interested. But I tend to agree with Jennifer, like we're just not in the ready state, but I think we're talking about the same thing, Stephen. Like we all want to get this news out. Let's just be ready to do that. And once, like, also let's not forget that we are doing a network upgrade next Tuesday. Like we don't want to do those things in parallel. So as soon as that is ready and is running, like maybe end of next week or the week after, we can just do the announcement, share how people can use it, say that we achieved it, and we go from there and we start receiving the feedback. That's also like one of the things that is needed in this early stage. I don't know if that satisfies the question, but that's just my opinion. And we already started working on it.
Dragon, we should also coordinate to release some just like general, simple, lightly technical information just within this broader Slack channels also. We haven't done that so far because we're still nailing down official last call timelines, and we also don't have FIP 32 out yet, as a draft. So we tried to avoid confusion by not doing that, but if there's an interest or questions about it, we might as well. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that we're on the same page. We're just talking something that needs to happen in the future, and I'm glad that we're doing that. It means that we're actually planning this and know how big this is. Just let's not forget that V15 is coming out next week, and that should be the focus. Like we don't want to communicate two messages at the same time, but that is also buying us time to prepare even better. This was something I wanted to get. Yeah.
I do want to move to the two upcoming upgrades real quick, but Raul, do you still have a question? I think your hand is up.
So I wanted to kind of like try to separate both. There are two discussion topics that are being folded into one here, I think. One is the actual timeline itself that is being proposed for the testing and the go live of NV16. And the other one is how do we engage, how do we communicate to the community what the milestones are, what progress is being made at each phase, and how we want them to participate. So I think we should separate these two discussions, because I would really like to get buy-in from the core devs around the timeline itself, and we can sort out the communication details. I totally agree with Steven. We need to, like, this is, you know, something big, so we need to make sure that the community feels safe, that the community feels involved, that the community feels, you know, like they're a part of testing everything. And Jennifer has great ideas there. We can also add specific content to the FEM website with like the different implementations that are available at the different phases, and like there's a ton of things that we can do there. But I don't think this is quite the forum to discuss that. So I really want to ideally focus the discussion today on the timeline itself.
Great. Let's jump right into it then. First, as a reminder, we do have an upgrade between now and then, V15. I think many people are very much in communication about how the upgrade is going, but Ayush, did you have something you want to discuss from the Lotus side?
Yeah, so yeah, kind of as Dragon's point of view, we do have an upgrade happening next week, and it's mostly so this is a pretty big upgrade. It's going to be migrating every single sector info on Filecoin, which we have not done since mainnet launched, really. In Lotus, we've certainly been testing fairly hard, and I assume the other implementations have as well. Have reasonably high confidence that it runs without crazy memory requirements or taking too long. But in terms of, just kind of what to expect, the pre-migration as baked in Lotus begins 180 epochs before the actual upgrade. And this is the idea is that this will do almost all of the actual work. Based on experiments I've run, it takes anywhere between 20 and 50 minutes, depending on your hardware, but does not dramatically impact your node's overall performance, so long as you're not like syncing from scratch or something like that. All that to say, we can expect some nodes to maybe fall out of sync or the network to be a little choppy. Essentially, for like about 180 epochs before the upgrade and maybe a little bit after the upgrade as well. We may be getting questions from the community or from folks in the ecosystem about why nodes are having a hard time syncing, or the number of blocks per chipset has slightly fallen. But all of that is slightly within the realm of what we expect. And the actual upgrade will hopefully take 2 to 3 minutes, and we maybe won't even have a single null chipset. So we'll see how that goes. But that's kind of the heads up I wanted to give everyone. I think everyone here is already aware because we're core devs, but kind of using this to like communicate with the community as well, to expect some turbulence on Tuesday.
Perfect. Thanks, Ayush. Any questions for Ayush? All right, great. Let's jump in then to V16 and what the timeline looks like currently. More for community communication than for those of us on the call today. There was a lot of conversation that happened on Slack about this. And I think this test plan, sorry, there's a lot of text on the slide. This is what Jennifer was able to put together, sort of taking in feedback and considerations from all of the implementation teams about what their needs are around upgrading in V16. Jennifer, do you want to give a high level of where everyone is currently?
Yeah, so like I know there's a lot of text like in this slide, but like the highlight is highlighted in this like little light blue navy blue like thing. And so just I want to emphasize the scope of network V16 is going to be rolling out FVM phase 1 non-programmable FVM with canonical actors, and which introduce gas schedule rebalancing and architecture changes, and also have content address co-CIDs for the things. And all the tentative test plans is available in the FIP13.1 itself, which the draft got merged this morning. So take a look there on the detailed test plan. We divided it to like 2 phases. One is like the first one will be like per implementation testings. Basically, it's like what Steven is like describing. It's like every implementation integrates FVM and Rust actors and make sure it can sync well in the calibration net and the mainnet, like shadowing testing, before we move on to the coordinated test nets, which will be will be using Butterfly Net and Calibration Net as always. Right now, we are suggesting that we take the next 2 to 3 weeks to actually implementing, 2 to 4 weeks to implement the whole network V16 logic, and then we will be launching the code in Butterfly in late March, and then in the mid-April we will be testing that for like 2 weeks, and then we will be rolling out into the calibration net test, which is more like mainnet like in mid-April. And during the process, we'll be finalizing all the implementation releases. At that point, we should have good enough test coverage for like FVM and like Canonical Actors and implementation itself. And then we're proposing the mainnet upgrade to be around May the 3rd, which is about 7.5 weeks from now. And Raul, do you have anything you want to add?
No, that's pretty good. Thanks for the overview. I would just say that during the entire timeline where mainnet is still running pre-FEM, all implementations should make available, as we discussed earlier, to the community, should make available versions of their clients that are running the NV14, NV15 on top of the FEM, so that the canary and shadow testing can continue over the span of 7 weeks, which is, I think, even longer than what you were proposing, maybe Stephen, in the serial timeline of let's do this first, and then only once that is checked, move forward. So I think like this way we can like parallelize everything, and we allow the community to run the FEM against mainnet for the entire seven weeks. And as I said, once implementations have these binaries available, we can create a section on the FEM website to list them all, so that the community can pick up the client that they wish to experiment with and just run the FEM on it.
The only blocker I see at the moment to actually do what Stephen wants is like suggesting for like the implementation have a tag to run FVM and Rust actor is like we don't have OSnap in Rust actor, fully merging in Rust actor at the moment. So I would say, ChainSafe have been like, Forest has been working really hard on that. After the code is sort of like finalized, I would ask, Lotus, FVM team and Venus, let's join the effort, review the code, test it out, and then integrate it into our implementations. That's the only blocker I can see for now. And also like Forest team, if you guys have any question on implementing the OSnap itself, and do reach out to our team. Like we are here to like help, always happy to chat in.
So I think the benefit of this timeline is that it gives almost more than an extra month from what was originally discussed. But I think if there are no concerns about this, we should consider it all but finalized. And Jennifer, you and I can work together to put together all of the communications and notices needed to make that clear. All right. Great. Then we're looking for V16 to go live on May 3rd. And also to Jennifer's point, last time we met, I think the only thing we need left is a name. So we can add that as part of the discussion post. Yeah, right. Very important.
Sorry, just wanted to ask a quick question as we're finalizing the NV16 upgrade. So looks like the FIPs that are going to be in the NV16 are 30, 31, and 32, the gas changes, or am I missing something here?
That's correct.
0031, which needs to be implemented on the node side, on the client side. So this is the migration of the state tree and the activation of the FEM. And 0032, actually, once it's implemented, we don't expect client implementations to need to do anything, because it would be self-contained in ref FEM.
Great.
All right. Thanks, guys.
So we're right at time, but does anyone have any last questions, concerns, or flags before we move forward with this timeline? All right, great. And Jennifer, your question, we don't know the number for the gas model yet. It's going to be 32. We're going to keep them all together just for cogency. Cool.
Yeah. Just one thing want to clarify here. So yeah, for the version 16, comparing with version 15, we only have 30, 31, 32 in this release. No any other features will be added, right? So we have this.
Yep, that's correct. We decided it was
Okay.
too much of a risk to add additional FIPS on top of what's already a huge change.
Okay. Yeah, I think that is good. Yeah, we should keep everything okay, the same, and we just do this.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think similarly, just want to do note before everyone eventually drops, and Jennifer, I do see your hand too. Alex North added some additional thoughts that he wanted to share about protocol development post FVM. I don't think we need to go into this today since we're at time, and also Alex isn't able to join today's call. But as a note, our next Core Devs call will be the beginning of that 2-meeting sequence where from North and South America, there is a call in the morning and in the evening, and you can join whichever you prefer. You can join both, it's not required. But the reason we now have these formal presentations, et cetera, is to make sure that everyone is getting the same information, regardless of which call they join. So you should have already gotten a calendar hold for both of those Core Devs meetings, and I will reach out beforehand, gather your updates, but also provide additional reminders and answer any questions if they come up for you between now and then. So go to last questions. Jennifer, did you have something you wanted to add?
Sorry, just one last call, exactly as what you suggested came in there. So the protocol dev team at PL has been heading down, drafting a lot of like great potential protocol improvement in the past like few weeks, and they will be having more to come. So it would be great if we can start like review the FIPS and prioritize them and start to talk about after network v16 when the network v17 would be and what the scope should be included in the next like network v17 upgrade. And it would be great if like all the implementation can give a ETA on how long, like how much dev resources they have, so that we can figure out a timeline for network v17 and not having a surprise upgrade, to the dev teams later on. So those are the 2 discussions that we should pay attention to. And 293 is about how big a network upgrade should be, because we potentially can have like 10 FIPS in draft that's on the fly. And we probably shouldn't do them all in the one upgrade. So how do we prioritize and decide that is one of the discussion. The other one is the network v17 scope and timeline discussion in the TPM GitHub repository. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any last items before we call it for this week? All right, sounds good. I feel like I need a gavel to confirm v16's timeline, but Jennifer and I will work on getting everything out today to confirm that more publicly. Thanks again, everyone, for your help. I think this was a very productive call today. As always, we'll continue to communicate in Slack and on GitHub. Thanks again, Raul, for joining us. And other than that, I think we'll see each other in 2 weeks. All right. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.